Hey, y'all, welcome to the Bang the Drum podcast. Scott Dryden here, Scotty D. We are without Stevie Boy today, as my daughter's text me. Without Stevie Boy today. So, if you prayers, thoughts, whatever you do, please send him Stevie Boy's way. Lost a family member, really rough time for him. So, unexpectedly, not good at all. So, miss him, thinking of him, and wish him the best. Tough thing to go through. So, to say the least, understatement there. So, please express your wishes here. Comments on we're on Amazon, Apple, iHeart, Spotify, Player FM. You can do the audio versions there. The video versions on BTD Podcast Bengals. Comment for Stevie Boy if you will. Certainly thinking of him. We bang on each other pretty hard, but friends for 30 plus years. So more than just podcast host. So thinking of him. Miss him. He had a good week picking too. So he would have been on here gloating for sure. We were going to do a midterm report card on the Bengals, which you can imagine the grades will not be one you want to show your parents. But it's his idea, and I think it was a good idea, so we'll save that one, even though if it's another week, no big deal. So we're going to talk about the Bengals and Steelers game, talk about the AFC North, the playoff picture. I'll hit on some of our college football, my college football and NFL picks, and Thursday Night Football tonight, Patriots Jets in New England. So we'll hit on all that. If Stevie Boy gets his picks in, I'll share them on Twitter. If he doesn't, understandably, no big deal on that. And I'll pick the Bengals game straight up. We're both 7-2 picking the Bengals. I'm 9-1 on Thursday Night Football. He's 7-3. He went 3-1 in college and 4-0, I think, in the NFL. And I kind of the opposite on both ends. 1-3 and 0-4, my worst yet by far. So not good. He got some breaks. Guys went in. He deserves some breaks after the way he's been picking. Some teams went in overtime, and he covered by getting into overtime. So an odd week of football across the board. So really strange games, both college and pro. So Bengals Steelers, heated rivalry. Last game it was a shootout, back and forth. Bengals held on. Aaron Rodgers threw that crazy Hail Mary. He still got the arm. Steelers got their ass waxed last week in Los Angeles to a beat-up Chargers team. The Chargers defense handled them. Ran the ball on him and did pretty much whatever they wanted to with him. So, impressive victory by the Chargers. Steelers look bad. A lot of turmoil there in the AFC North right now for Pittsburgh. This is a huge game. They are 5-4 with a point differential of -8, which is crazy. Baltimore 4-5 coming up quickly as we predicted. They are now -6. Baltimore's 2-3 at home, 2-2 on the road. Steelers 3-2 at home, 2-2 on the road. And Baltimore plays at Cleveland this week, who is 0-5 on the road, 2-2 at home. I think that game might be a little closer than some of the pundits think. So, big game for Pittsburgh. Bengals still in it, I guess. In the division certainly. We kind of fortune told them out. It was good to see Joe back in the building as he, making his way back. I think it breath of fresh air into the building. He was happy. You could tell, like, if he's a starting quarterback and they're playing the way they are, he would have been pretty downtrodden, but he was pretty amped. It was nice hearing him talk about football, to get back involved in it. He's amped. But, honestly, even if he was playing at the level, which I certainly think he would be, that Burrow's played in the last few, or I'm sorry, Flacco's played in the last few weeks, they're still losing those games. That's how bad the defense has been. You look at it without spoiling our grades, but to throw all the rookies in, I've many Twitter beefs with people on this. Like, it's not a good thing all these rookies are making the roster. It's not a good thing. You got too many picks, first of all. Should trade up, got better quality every year, and they don't do it. Last year didn't have as many picks, but all these guys making the roster and playing time, it's not good. They rotate these guys in. You look at a team like Vrabel in New England, they brought in veterans. Same with Denver. You bring in some vets. I get the 30-year-old if you're paying big long-term money, but you got to have guys that know what they're doing. When you have a bunch of rookies learning on the fly, drinking from a fire hose, this is what happened. It's happened every year. Look at Shamar. I like the pick. He's deservedly so. He's getting bashed. And if you're a team on the edge, maybe a championship level, which they're not, picking a guy that's more upside is probably not the way to go. But they're throwing him into the fire on all these downs, switching positions. You can tell he's thinking, not playing. He should be in on third down, let him rush a passer. Second and long, let him rush a passer. It's as simple as that. And other teams do that. Like, that's how they develop players and get them in situations where they're just playing football and you teach them as you go. The Bengals don't do it. That's on the head coach, Zach Taylor, who's horrible. I say F Zach Taylor, F Duke Tobin, get their asses out of here. I would have fired Duke at the trade deadline, as I mentioned. No way that guy's involved in my organization. Well, he's like family. They act like that's a pat on the back and kumbaya and everybody should be giving hugs. That's an indictment. You should be trying to win a damn championship, and they're not. Embarrassing across the board. So back to the game. I think it's going to be a shootout again as the last one, but I think Pittsburgh's defense will play a little bit better. More tape on Flacco. I think they'll take away some of those easy reads for him. He'll still have big numbers. But I think at the end of the day, the 5.5, as it was last time I checked, is a little bit too much. And I think the Bengals will keep it close, but I think the Steelers win that game in a tight one, another shootout. And that pretty much ends the Bengals season if that happens. Keeps Pittsburgh afloat. For Thursday night football, bum, 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 bum. We got the Patriots. Wrong song, but we got the Patriots and the Jets. The Jets are without Garrett Wilson. Say we can't handle the dog yet again. Garrett Wilson. So I'm on the air, say to get him out of here and quit talking. Walk, you got feet. Garrett Wilson is out. Patriots giving up. I bet on him. It's a tough one. 13 points is what I got him for. That's a lot of points, but I think they cover tonight. They're on a roll, 8-2. Every year I write Katie Blackburn a letter. This year Mike Brown as well. Last year I copied it, the section, and put it in the letter for this year. Hire a real GM. Go get Ben Johnson or Mike Vrabel. Get the hell out of the way. Let them do their thing and you win. It's not that hard. They didn't do it. Mike Vrabel's 8-2. Sean Payton, I asked for it a few years ago. He is 8-2. Ben Johnson is 6-3. They turned it around quickly. New England was awful last year. The Bears weren't much better. Denver was bad before he got there, and Peyton. These are guys that are head coaches. They're not offensive coordinator, glorified cheerleaders. You talking about the other side of the ball. They talking about, it's not them, it's they, the defense. That's Zach Taylor. Get his ass out here. Such a candy ass. Get these guys out. Get real people in the building. That's what I wrote Katie again this year. They probably won't listen. They're dumb. I know they've got big rapid ears now, more so with those folks running it than Mike Brown. Get people in the building and know football. Get a GM, get a head coach, get a person above the GM if you need to be a VP. You guys stay out of it. You want to do your social media rah-rah nonsense bullshit and your roller of the jungle horse shit you're doing with all these idiots coming in. That's fine. Do it. Have fun with it. Do whatever. But in terms of football, get the hell out of the way. So a lot of people will defend Zach and Duke, as we talked about, based on that. But in reality, my harshest criticism of Katie and or Mike is that they hired Zach and Duke. They don't get a pass from me. They're the problem. They're not, if you've hired somebody that really knows what the hell they're doing. And I'll say it again. If you promise to get out of the way, put things in order with Burrow, Chase, T, and the way this team's constructed, the big name coaches would have came and would come. Mike McCarthy would come here. I firmly believe it. If you get a real GM in place, I think Peyton would have. I think Vrabel's a tough one because of New England, but Ben Johnson would have. I think he would have salivated over this job instead of Caleb Williams. So just huge whiffs. They continue to kick the can down the road with these riff-raff, inept people in charge, and you're wasting windows there. So it's going to go downhill after this game, and I think it'll go downhill for the rest of the games. And hopefully they wake up. But I like the Patriots minus 13 tonight, Thursday Night Football. I like the Steelers winning straight up versus the Bengals. In college, I bet USC minus 6.5 over Iowa. The Longhorns of Texas, tough one, minus 6 versus Georgia at Georgia. At Georgia, I apologize. The weather is getting me big time today. The Bulldogs and the Longhorns, that's a big game, man. That's a big game in terms of playoffs. Who's going to make it, who's not. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish, I'll repeat it since we cut out again. Thanks again, Spectrum, for not calling me after 24 hours. Thanks again for not fixing a damn thing. Thanks again for horrible service by you. I don't know that Riverside's much better, but this is a Spectrum issue. Embarrassing. Do your job. Do better. So Pittsburgh plus 12.5 versus the Irish. The Bearcats minus 6 versus Arizona. Huge game for them. So UC, Pittsburgh, Texas, and USC. In the pro ranks, the pros, I like Denver plus 3.5 versus Kansas City. Huge game in the AFC West. Chiefs lose that one. They're in some trouble here. Real trouble. Hopefully they do. Niners minus 2.5 at Arizona. Arizona looked awful against Seattle. Got motorboated. Niners are still banged up. Purdy might play. Get some guys back. I think Shannon's still doing a good job with that team. They took a tough one against the Rams, but just a lot of guys out. I like the aforementioned Chargers of Los Angeles. -3 at Jacksonville. That's a tough one, but I just don't believe in Jacksonville. Never did all the way through. Despite all the injuries at tackle and everything else, Herbert's really playing well. Miami, -2.5 versus the Commanders overseas. Another stupid foreign game by our idiot commissioner and the owners. Anything for a dime. But the Dolphins are actually playing, a little bit better. Beat the Bills last week. A big upset on that one. Kind of took it to them, really. So -2.5 versus Washington. Probably Mariota again. Just not a good team with Marcus in there. Let's talk about the league real quick. We mentioned Baltimore creeping up on Pittsburgh. The winner of the division obviously will get an entry, but I don't think any wild cards will come there. New England 8-2, as I mentioned earlier, with Vrabel. Big wins. Their schedule's been weak. I get it, but they're still. When you watch them, forget who they're playing. When you watch them play, that's the look and feel of not only a playoff team, maybe a championship team. May is playing really well. Old vets on defense playing well. Some of those young guys up front. Very well coached team. Vrabel's a leader. He's a head coach, unlike the guy we have. Ready to fight. That game when May took a hit out of bounds, cussing at a player ready to go. So that's them in Buffalo on that division. So big game for them Thursday night, New England. It's going to come down to those two still. Bills aren't out of it despite the loss at Miami. In the South, it's a one-horse race, no pun intended, with the Colts. Jacksonville just doesn't look that good. Indy, they lost to Pittsburgh, and then they didn't look very good, overseas in their win over Atlanta. But got the win. They've got a lot of pieces in place for sure. Kind of like that team, fun to watch. In the West, Chargers, Denver, and Kansas City. I think all three of them will make it despite beating up on each other. You look at the bye week this week, Indianapolis and New Orleans. So Indy gets a chance to get some of those guys in. So, the Cowboys in the East with the new guys, Quentin Williams, and, of course, Logan Wilson's playing for them now. I expect them to be a better team on defense. Will they catch the Eagles? Probably not. The Eagles, 3 teams I can't stand watching. Kansas City, Baltimore, and Philly. And I just turn them off. It's just ridiculous the amount of calls those 3 teams get. It's not because they're good. It's just they've got backyard football is what they play. No structure. That it's not really the tush push that's the issue. It's certainly rugby. It's not really football. Just an odd. It's a false start's a false start, whether it's a tush push or not. It's ridiculous. It's not even close. They're back to passing 3rd and 8. They're calling that every time. It's just ridiculous. And they got to do something. Just make the level playing field. Lamar runs around, gets touched, they're calling it. Mahomes flops all over the place, they're calling it. Let's get back to football. Ridiculous. Hard to watch the Eagles. They are going to win that division. The Commanders had high expectations. Not good. So the NFC East, the Giants fired Brian Daboll. If you missed that, he gone. So teams that want to win are going to make moves. Will the Bengals? It's TBD. Got the Ohio State stuff on. So, I don't think the Cowboys are out of the playoff race by any means. The additions are going to help them, especially when they're playing offense if Dak stays healthy. NFC North now, man. I think Detroit's the best team in that division. Green Bay looks really bad. Don't know what's wrong with them. Can't get it going offensively. Love's not playing very well. The Bears keep winning. It's not pretty. They stayed me in a Survivor League last week. Thought I was done. They came back and won. So I'll take New England this week. Should be a little easier to watch. But then the Vikings struggling. They didn't look very good against Baltimore. Watched some of that game. Again, had to turn it off because it's Ravens. But they need something out of McCarthy. It's a lot to ask of him. It's his first year as a starter, following his rookie year with an injury. And then, banged up this year. So Bears, Vikings, who wins that game? It's a tough one. In the South, the Falcons, I thought was a horrible hire. Raheem Morris could have had Belichick. They look like an awful team. That's where Tampa plays Buffalo this week. One of the biggest games in the NFL. But they got a padding. They got margin for error in that division. Tampa Bay does. Even if they lose, the division's so bad, it's really not going to matter. Shook the quarterback for New Orleans, the rookie. Actually, he looked pretty good when they beat Carolina. So we'll see there. But I think Tampa Bay is the only team in that division. In the West, huge game this week. Seattle and the Rams, the best game on the docket in turn for my likings anyway. 2 really good teams. I think the Rams got the look and feel of a championship level team. That as long as Stafford stays healthy and Puka's coming back now, getting healthier, they're making some plays. That's a dangerous football team. And that's a real head coach there, Sean McVay. And everyone tried to hire everyone that touched him or whatever else, or was in his vicinity. That's why Zach got the interview. Just ridiculous. But McVay's doing a heck of a job. They play Seattle. Donald's doing a good job there, man. Darnold's playing really well. They look like a well-rounded team. A lot of firepower. Jackson Smith and Jigba from Ohio State is playing at a very high level. Those two teams are the class of that division. If the Niners were healthy, it might look a little different. San Francisco still might eke out a playoff position there as a wild card. And then the Arizona Cardinals, I think it's just a matter of time until Gannon gets fired. That's what I said about that job. I wouldn't have taken it. I get it's only 32 jobs. He could probably wait it and got a better offer probably the next season. When you're tying yourself to Kyler Murray, not good, man. It's where if you can go draft a guy and get your own, that's, then you got a shot at, you have a say in what you're doing, but Kyler Murray cannot play. Now it's Brissett in there. Murray's fun to watch. He just run around again, another back. I think Minder's name is going to be right in the hunt of it as this thing keeps bonking out. Thanks again, Spectrum, for all you do. I pay a lot of money, and I'm getting about 20% of what I should be in terms of speed. That's great. So that's it for us this week. Dayball gone was a big story out in New York, and Winston starting. So a lot of drama going to be picking up here as we hit week 11. So hard to believe we're 2 weeks away from Thanksgiving. What is it, 6 weeks, I think, from Christmas? It's amazing. Time is flying by. Again, if you get a chance, whether it's on here, YouTube, BTD Podcast Bengals, or on any of the other networks, or find us on Twitter, you'll see me, BT Podcast Scott. You can find me and find Stevie. His name's a little different. But please send all good thoughts to Stevie Boy. We'd appreciate it. Comment on the YouTube channel for sure. Tough thing to go through. But friends will be there for him. Family will be there for him. So we'll do our best to help him out through a very, very difficult situation. And one final thought, I want to talk about Eddie Murphy real quick. If you want a recommendation, the Eddie Murphy documentary, if you will, on Netflix is very good. Grew up watching Eddie, snuck around to Cousins and everything else to see Delirious and Raw. And then, of course, 48 Hours, Beverly Hills Cop. It was so good. The special is, I'm not running for you, but just listen to him. I'm cracking up just hearing him talk and his impersonations and then I'm sure my daughter got tired. Hey, come here. I'm pushing pause. Watch this. I've seen it before. It's like, I think of all the times I've used the word MFer, which is a lot. Probably comes from him, right? And he still pulls it off and makes it sound cool. Even this Saturday Night Live bit a few years ago when it came back, 2019 or whatever it was. But the thing that stood out to me from a sports perspective was a Jordan comparison in my mind. They didn't use it that way, but he talked about how he survived that. Most people, as famous as he was, you guys, if you're not around the 80s, you don't understand just how much of a megastar he was. And even since then, Nutty Professor and all those movies way after, just brilliant. But he didn't fall into all the traps that Richard Pryor and all the other guys did back then. A bunch of them, Piscopo, all those guys did, right? Even talked about Red Fox, right? Just some of the stuff that they got involved in. But he said, I knew what I wanted to be, and nothing was going to get in the way of me being that. I wasn't going to fall in the traps. And you hear Jordan talk on The Last Dance and all that. He knew what marketing meant to him. He knew what his image could be to him. He got out of the hotel room where the Bulls were supposedly doing coke or whatever, early Bulls with him. And, they're very similar that way, just driven but likable still, very articulate. You think about, Jordan, Kobe, Bird, Magic, and all those guys, especially Bird, Magic, and Jordan way back then. Articulate, could speak. Today's athletes like, what the hell is that idiot saying? Think about that. Should be better now, making more money and more professional and dress more professional and be more professional. It all kind of went downhill when Iverson came in. It's just a weird, they're not professional as much as they used to be, right? And Eddie today, still very articulate, very intelligent. Even a guy like Chappelle, he's still more of the older guard, very intelligent, right? Very articulate. And Jordan certainly is. Kind of why I like him, Brady, those guys. So it's worth a watch. Take a look at it. So we'll be back soon with another episode. I will not steal Stevie Boy's line. We're thinking of him. Can't wait to get him back and get in the flow. So do our regular shows with our regular pomp and circumstances and idiocracy, which we love. We love being idiots on here. We love beer. I love cigars. He loves his vape. And we love being idiots on the show and just being kind of down-to-earth show. So we'll talk to you soon. I don't know if I'm rooting for the Bengals. I won't root against them. I'll root for them. But is it better they win? Is it better they lose? It's up for debate. And, I kind of just want Pittsburgh to win the division because I think they'll be out quick, right? So a loss by Pittsburgh gets Baltimore back in it. You never know what they could do in the playoffs. So it's a tough one, but we'll just let it go where it's made. When the game's on, I'm rooting for them for sure. Afterwards, you think about what's better, and before you think about what's better or not. So we're here. Picked a bad year to buy the Bengals Jeep, but I got it, and I'm still driving around. Talk to you next time.